Welcome everyone to the live stream. This is Casual Friday. My name's Gary. Sorry I didn't have my banner shooting out giving my name. We'll have that for next time. I was in a rush, didn't get a chance to do it for this stream. Hope you're doing well on this Friday. Hopefully wherever you're at, whether you're in the US or Eastern Canada or Western Canada or Central Canada, wherever you're located, hopefully you're having an awesome day. And I guess for some of you, you may be winding down for the day. Others still plugging at it. Anyways, we've got a few things to show you today. And just as a reminder, if you have any, and we got Sean up here. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you stepping in here, bud. This is great. Yeah, so we're gonna start. We're going to go through a few things. We actually, I did a webinar for financial advisors yesterday. It was a test one. And we got our new webinar platform all built, and it's just amazing. It's really cool. And we had a few little glitches, but we worked through those. And so we're going to be doing two types of streams. We're going to be doing Casual Friday when you can ask questions. I'll have some topics that we'll go through. Today we've got some tips and tricks. And then we'll have some actual structured webinars where you'll come in and we'll be on for a specific period of time and be able to share specific content. So the webinars will be different than the Casual Friday. Casual Friday is just that. It's Casual Friday. You know, ask some questions. We can chat. I'll show you some stuff and we'll just kind of hang out for a little bit. So I don't really have a time for this. It's kind of when I get through it. It could be short, could be longer. We try to keep it within a half an hour. May go a little over, may go a little under. Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Anyways, oh, by the way, I've got a goal set, and I mentioned this in the last live stream that I did. I've got a goal in YouTube. This channel that we're on, I'm not trying to monetize it. That's not my goal. But if I get 100 subscribers, the URL that we use, instead of having youtube.com/ event, I think it's called, / and then a bunch of numbers, it'll actually have CoreLogix Online at the end. And so I'm just shooting for that. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. That would be really nice. And if you want to get notified when we go live, you can click the bell and they'll just let you know that we're going live in whatever specific time we're doing that. But unless I'll be sending out an email either Friday morning or Thursday afternoon letting you know about the live streams, because sometimes I may not do the Casual Friday. Something may come up, but in most cases we'll hold it. All right, Jared, can you hear me and see me and everything? We should let me know. Can you hear me, dude? I can't hear you. Are you muted? No, you're not muted. It says you're muted. That's okay. We were testing something out here in our live stream here. I can see you, Jared, but I can't see. Looks like you're muted. I don't have you muted. Yeah. Something went fooey on Jared's end. Anyways, I see the thumbs up. Let's see. Susan Kellett asked a question. I'm just new, so quickly ask question. Does Casual Friday occur every Friday, or is it monthly schedule? I try to do it every Friday, and it may be a short one. It's an opportunity for you, if you've got questions during the previous week and said, hey, geez, I'll ask Gary this question, next Casual Friday. We have enough time that we can, you can pop some questions, even if it's not on the topic that I've picked for that day. Just ask a question. It's just an opportunity for you to reach out to me in this environment, and I'll share some stuff with you. And if you've got questions, you can ask me, and we'll kind of go from there. So that's what that's all about. All right. So let me share my screen. And I got a few little things I want to show you. All right. site. Now I'm using the advisor layout. This is my go-to test database because I've got everything under the sun here. So if there's anything I need or want to show you, I pretty much have it in here. Well, not all the things that we have, but pretty much a lot of it. So I know a lot of you aren't financial advisors, and that's fine. This is just a template. It's just, I could actually customize one for the automotive industry or some other industry and use that. But this one we've built for the years and we keep adding little things to it. And so when I have something to show, I usually show this one. All right, so the first thing, there's a couple of things that you may already know, and there may be things that you don't know. It says, so as I add topics to our Casual Friday, and oh, by the way, if you have any topics that you would like me to present either in a webinar format or Casual Friday, please put those in the comments. And that way, we can put a list of things you'd like to see, because we do want to wrap this around, what you want to see, not just what I feel you guys need. This is more about you. So whatever you think you need or would like to see or would like to have, both again in a webinar or a Casual Friday, let me know. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you is on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see here the navigation bar. Now these options here where it says contacts, groups, opportunities, in this case, instead of just companies, it's household and companies. Any of this sort of stuff can be modified and removed. It can be changed. And so if you click on the little arrow in the bottom right-hand corner of that navigation bar, and you'll see NavBar options. If you click on that, it gives you a list. Unfortunately, you can't expand this. You can't drag it to make it bigger. But in here, if you wanted to hide stuff, for an example, I really don't care about the welcome screen, so I'm going to take that off. And I've got opportunities up here. Maybe I want households above opportunities. And maybe, I want to put the marketing automation up there because I use marketing automation a lot. So I'm going to move that up under opportunities. And so when I press OK, you'll see that it'll adjust on the navigation bar. There you go. Now, I should mention, these are personal settings. So in Scott Kellett's office, maybe what he does is he's got his set up a certain way, and maybe Susan sets hers up in hers a little bit different way. And so they can each have whatever makes sense to them in whatever order they want. So that's just a little, some of you may already know this, but some of you may not. And so hopefully this helps, setting up your navigation bar to kind of work for you. Things you're not using, get rid of. The other thing I wanted to show you is called, you'll notice I've got a blue, kind of a blue format on the left-hand side here. If I go over to Tools, and I go all the way down here to Customize, and then I go down here to Color Scheme, I've got the choice between blue, black, and silver. Now, this is the blue one. This is the black one. This is the one I usually use in my on my native machine that I use. And then you can go over here to, now silver isn't customized yet. You'll notice these icons on the left are white. Jared, make a note for Matt to adjust these when you choose silver to go to have a black icons there, if you wouldn't mind. That's just it for those who are financial advisors. For the rest of you, if you go to silver, and this may show up exactly the same for the regular one without the advisor, this may show up exactly the same way. I'll have to test that out. Nonetheless, you have silver for those who like to have it a little bit lighter. I prefer a little bit darker, but in this demo database, I'm going to leave it at blue. There we go. Hey Natalie, how you doing? I see you showed up in here. Good to have you here. Okay, next thing I want to show you. So in on the calendar, let's go over to the calendar here. Now, for those of you who may not be using the calendar, I highly recommend you use the calendar in Act. I know some people use Outlook. The problem with Outlook is you have, and I'll go into a deeper dive into this in another either Casual Friday or a webinar. But Outlook is what we call a freeform calendar, and it's great. However, if you're trying to track what's going on, who said what and when, and track the activities, you'll want to use the calendar in Act because it links to somebody. In Outlook, it's called a freeform calendar. It doesn't link to anybody. It doesn't create a history. It's just there. In Act, when you create an activity, as you can see here, it's linked to an individual. And so because it's linked to an individual, so if I go to Todd Miller's record right now, come on. Oh, I better bring my mic a little bit closer. Probably you're having a hard time hearing me. Sorry about that. I forgot to bring my mic in. Is this better? All right. Okay, so now that we're on Todd Miller's record, we're going to go to the calendar. And what we're going to do is we're going to just drag off a little bit of time. And you'll see that this automatically links to Todd Miller. I've got a little bit of a delay here just because I've got lots of stuff running in the background here to do this live stream. So it's putting a little bit of a labor on this machine. But you'll see it automatically links to Todd Miller. So if you're not using the Act calendar, I highly recommend it because as you clear activities, it creates histories. As you have activities, it shows all of that information to you. But what I wanted to show you is over on the left-hand side. Now you'll see, let me just put this back because normally it looks like this. You got one little calendar sitting there. And what you can do is you can right mouse click right over the date, the calendar date here, so January 2022, right mouse click, and this allows you, this is a little Easter egg, allows you to jump, like maybe I want to go to February, and this will jump me to February. Now you can use the arrows forward, the arrows back, but this one just allows you, if you say, oh, I need to jump back to November, it gives you a few months forward and back that you can kind of jump to. And so it just allows you to kind of jump around a little bit. Also, you can, if you move your mouse just down to the bottom, you'll see a double arrow with a line. You can drag this down and it'll give you an extra calendar so that you can jump. And you could do it again and do 3. Now what it does is it limits the list for anything that's showing up on the list here. So if I go back to today, so if I look, you can see if I've got a big list, it's going to show up there and I'll have to scroll. So you can do it that way. Now, there is one more way you can do this. I'll bring it up to 2. There is one more way, but apparently, now I'll have to chat with Matt. And Jared, maybe you want to just jot this down. When you expand it the way I'm going to show you now, I think it slows something down a little bit. I can't remember what it was specifically, but if you move your mouse in between here, you'll see I get a double arrow, and I can move this over. Now, it takes up some of your real estate, but this will give you 4 calendars. So you can modify this down or modify it to the left. So I could bring this up and just have 2 calendars side by side. But I believe when you move it sideways and it actually truncates the calendar itself, I believe it slows something down a little bit, but I honestly can't remember what that is. Jared will check with Matt. And if we don't catch it on this stream, I'll bring it up on the next one and just bring that back up as part of the topic and just let you know what I found out. So I'm going to put this back to 2 here, just to give me the real estate. So any questions on that? Does that look like something that would help you? And by all means, don't be shy. Post if you have any remarks. I know that us older folks, for those who are older like me, you may be a little shy. I know a lot of people that are younger than me, like maybe a lot of you there, have no problem in commenting and that sort of stuff. So don't be shy. Don't be shy. All right. So that's just a little bit of a tidbit there. Just remember, you can right mouse click over that. And let me just see if, and you can actually do it on the other one too. That's kind of cool. I didn't know that. So that one will pull from December. This one will pull from January. All right, next one. Now this one, I don't know if this is something that you would use very often. I've used this before. I haven't used it in a while, but this is a really cool thing that a lot of people aren't even aware exists. And so if we go over to Tools, you'll see down here, Timer. And this little timer, once you click on the arrow, it'll start the timer. So if you're having a conversation with somebody and a call comes up and you're having a conversation and you're chatting, and at the end of the call, you press this little one to stop it, it'll pop up and create a history for you. Again, this is a little slower, and I apologize because I got lots of stuff happening here. But it'll pop it up, and however long you have been on there, it will make this as a duration. I'm going to talk to Matt to see if we can automate this to start when you click on it. I'm going to just see if we can do a little bit of automation with this. But that's it out of the box. Now you don't want to go over here each time and go over here to Tools and Timer and Start, or even have the timer sitting in the corner or something like that so that when you're going to do it, you start it. I mean, you could if you wanted to. But what we can do, the next thing I want to show you is, now what I'm going to show you next, you want to be careful with. Like you want to make sure that you don't overdo this, because I'm going to do this is a light version. So I'm going to do a more detailed version of what I'm going to show you, but right now I'm just going to do a light version. So for those of you who want to experiment, be careful with what I'm going to show you next. So if I right mouse click here and go customize, now you have to do it on this bar right here. It's going to come up with a bunch of commands and keyboard options and stuff like this. You can mess around with this, but if you can mess up your drop-down menus, and you can mess up a few things in here. So I'm going to do a deeper dive on this in an actual webinar and show you a little bit more in what you can do here. But today I just want to show you one thing. I'm going to go to Commands, and remember we did the timer, and we did it from the Tools drop-down menu. I'm going to click on Tools, and I'm going to scroll way down here to Timer. Now, one of the things I'll have to check with Matt is this one doesn't have an icon, so I'm just going to drag up the word timer, and I'm going to drag it up, and I'm going to pop it right in here. See how it gets that little vertical line there? And I'm just going to drop that in there. And so you see it puts a partition there, and it puts the word timer. Now, you can put it up onto this global bar, but I don't recommend you do it because it can mess things up. I tested this yesterday, and I messed up my top bar there. And so I don't recommend, be careful when you drag this up to just bring it to this bar here, and then move it to the left a little bit until you get the vertical line, and then just let go. And you can put it kind of pretty much anywhere you want. Now the nice thing about this is on this screen here, on my calendar screen, I can just click timer, and there it is. It doesn't auto start, so that's one thing I'm going to talk to Matt. You do have to click the button to start it. So I'll have a conversation with Matt. Jared's going to jot that down for our agenda for Monday. And then when you press the stop button, then it's going to pop up my little calendar. All right. So don't go any further than that with the customization, because I'm going to go in more detail, because there are little cautionary areas that you need to be careful of, and I'll bring that up in a future webinar. All right, has that been helpful? All right. Okay, so now what I want to do is, that was the keyboard, and there's keyboard shortcuts too. So if you don't want a button, I was just going to show you that too. I'll show you this really quickly. You can go into keyboard, and then again, you have the categories, which are the same categories across the top here. And if you go down to Tools, and I go down to Timer, there you are. And what I can do is assign a keyboard shortcut to Timer. And so press the keys that you want. Maybe I want Shift Control T for timer, and it will put that in there. Control Shift T, and then press OK, and we'll close that. And so now when I go Shift Control T, Bob's your uncle. There's your timer. So you can put keyboard shortcuts in there as well. You can put keyboard shortcuts and these things up at the top. This one here on the timer up at the top on this bar here, if I go to contacts, will be gone. I would have to put this on each screen that I want the timer to actually be on. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks, more detailed deep dive into this again in a future webinar. But if you want to use the timer and you want to put it on the that screen or on a screen, doesn't matter which one, you can put it on there. And the nice thing about the keyboard shortcuts is I can be on the contact screen, do my Shift Control and T, and it'll pop up the timer. So you can still use that no matter where you're at. It's just putting it on that bar there. If you had the timer, will there also be, let's see. If you add the timer, there will be also be there. Sorry, if you add the timer, there will it also be there when you look it up for clients? It'll pull it up for the client that you're on. So when you pull this up, when you click on that, it's whatever record you're on. So it can't be on a record that you're not on. If whatever record you're on, that's what the timer, when you stop the timer and it pulls up the history, it'll be for whichever record you're on. Yeah. All right. Let's move a little bit on here. I'll scroll back up and down here. I think Jared's answering some of the questions here as we're going through. And then if anything's left that hasn't been answered, I'll go through that. Now down at the bottom, you'll see on my system date here, it says 1/28/2022. Now in ACT, what it does when you have fields in ACT, and again we have some fields in here that kind of show this. You'll see here this person's birthday is 3/6/1980. So it actually shows it based on whatever the system date field is. Now, if you want to change that, which we do in ours, I'll show you how to do that because it's really quite simple and easy. What you need to do first of all is click on your start button, just click on it, and then type in the word control panel. Or CON, and that'll bring up control panels. Press enter. Now I'm in Windows 11. Doesn't matter if you're in Windows 11 or Windows 10. It'll bring up the same thing. Now if it shows categories like this, just click on categories. Go down to large or small icons, whatever works for you. And then what you want to do is click on region. And when you click on region, it's going to bring up this little window, and you'll want to go into additional settings. In additional settings, you're going to want to click on date. And so this is the date format that you have right here. So I want to change this. So I'm going to put in here MM. Going to take out the slash and put a hyphen. Take that other slash out. Oops. And put a hyphen. And then I'm going to go apply. And you'll see up here, this is what it's going to look like. And it also has changed down here. I want to see the month, day, year, but I want to see it, this way as opposed to, 0, 1 or 1, what have you for it. And then just press OK and apply and OK. And now that fixes it there. Now in ACT, it's still going to show the previous one until you close down ACT and open it up, and then it will actually show that in there properly. Let's see here. I'm going to close this down just so you can see that. And I'm going to close this down. And then we'll open this back up in a sec once it's finished closing down. Okay. Scott, I'll get to your question here as soon as I'm finished this here. All right, so the next thing I want to show you. All right, so you've got the system date. That changes everything for the dates. We'll pull that up in a second once that's done. The other thing we have is when you have ACT linked to your Outlook and you want to be able to attach and that sort of stuff, you have an ACT drop-down menu up here. And this allows you to do a bunch of different things. I can attach to contacts. I can do a quick attach. I can create a contact. I can create an activity. We won't go into these other ones right now. These are the main four that I want to kind of talk about. But you have to click on this tab and then you have to click back if you want to get to your main menu. There's another way of doing this called quick access. Now, I'm on one of the, it's actually a newer build, but there's actually a newer build of this out where this quick access is actually just underneath here. So on my production database that I use, it's actually sitting underneath here now. It's a little bit different than the way it's laid out here, and that was a little confusing when they first updated it, and it came out that way. But I'm used to it now. But if you want to add some quick access buttons, you click on this drop-down menu here, and you're going to go down to More Commands. So I'm going to step this through slowly so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. So again, you click on the drop-down arrow, and then you go to Quick Access Commands. And then what you're going to do right here where it says Choose Command From, go down here to ACT tab. And this will list a bunch of stuff. Now, some of these, for some reason, it didn't come into this properly where some of these aren't showing up with the label. I'm not sure why, but it is what it is. So I'm going to do the quick access, and you can just click on this and go add, but I'm going to just double click. I'm going to double click create a contact. I'm going to double click attach to contacts, and I'm going to double click the little checkbox here because that is the activity one. And then I can move it in whatever order I want. So I want to have quick access first, then I want to have attach to contacts, create contact, and then this one is create an activity. Even though the label will probably show up properly for you, but for me it didn't show up, and I haven't had a chance to look into that and fix that yet. So when you press OK now, you'll see that they're right at the top. So I don't have to jump over to this window. I can actually do it from the window I'm on. So if I take this email here that came in from Calendly, I believe, I can actually, if I do a quick attach here, it will actually, if the person's email address is in there, it will attach it. If I want to attach it to multiple people, I can click on this one and it'll pull up the database screen, and then I can just go search through the database for a name and say maybe I want to have it linked to Wendy Bass and Cindy Black, and you can see I just double click, I press OK, and now that email is attached to their records. So that's if you want to do more than one. The little lightning bolt is if you want to just quick attach to one, and it'll tell you if it attaches. It'll actually show a little, I use a dual monitor, so it'll actually show a little window that'll pop up, and it'll say whether it's attached or whether it doesn't attach. So if it doesn't recognize the email address, it'll say, sorry, can't attach. All right. All right. So let me just go back into here. Yeah, so this just allows you, and then the checkbox one creates an activity. So watch, I'll click on this. It'll actually try to create an activity even though it can't link to that individual. And so here's the activity, but it's actually not linked to the proper person because it validates through the email address. But you can create an activity in here as well from that. All right, let's go back to ACT really quick here. And let's jump down to, or let's go over to Todd Miller. Todd Miller. And we'll click on the personal tab where there's some date fields in there. And you'll see now that it's got the new format. The system format is now showing up in here. All right. Well, let's go through a few questions here. I don't know. Maybe Jared's answered a bunch of these. Let's just put this up there. Okay. For fees for service advisors, does the timer associate with the hourly rate to generate a cost? So what it does, Scott, in the advisor, for those who are advisors that are on, what it does is that timer puts in a history. So when you click on that, it creates a history, puts it in there. Now, whatever the history is, you can change the history type. So if I'm going to just go click on my timer here. And what was that? T, there we are. Sorry, I was on the wrong screen, and so it didn't pop up. And T. There we are. So when I start the timer and then I stop the timer, you can actually change the history type. Soon as this comes, there we are. So right here, you can change the history type to whatever. And so again, this is just for those advisors. If you've got custom activity types, and it doesn't matter whether you're an advisor or whether you're, you can create different activity types. But let's just say this was a review call. I can pop that in as a review call, type my notes. And what this does is whatever time is accumulated there will go into what they call the roadie factor, and that will add to whether whether you're going to bill them or not bill them or what have you. So you can use that for billing purposes for sure. Hopefully that's answered your question. Any other questions, folks? I've got one more thing I'm gonna just mention before we wrap it up. We've been in here for 30 minutes, so. I'm going to do one more thing, and this is kind of an FYI for all of you, and this has to do with Outlook. So in Outlook, let's close that timer. In Outlook, you have, when you create a new email, new email, there we are. You'll see you've got your signature line there, and then you can go, and you have to kind of be in here to be able to do this. And then you can go to signatures, and then you can modify your signatures. Now, if you're using or using Outlook on multiple devices, you're using it on your home computer, and you're using hosted Exchange or something where you can get your emails on your phone in different locations, you may not have your signature. And the signature, if you rebuild your machine, your signatures get lost. They don't save and they don't sync. So that's the two things you need to know about signatures. They don't save and they don't sync. So what I recommend you do is copy your signature that you've got in there and create a Word document that you save with all the variations of your signature. And I recommend that when you're creating a signature, create it in a Word document first, then copy it and paste it in. It's a lot easier to format it in a Word document than it is to try to do it inside of here, especially when you're linking graphics and stuff. Because when you link a graphic in here, I'm just going to paste that in. So this little graphic, this little logo here, when you pull it in, when you bring it in, you're going to go insert and you're going to do it by pictures. And when you do it by pictures, it embeds it in there. So when you send an email out to somebody, it doesn't show as a little link there where they actually have to say show pictures. It's actually embedded, and it'll actually show up automatically without any intervention on the recipient's part. So what I recommend is create a document called signatures, put it someplace where you can access it, and then you can just copy this. So you may have your main one, and then when you reply to an email, maybe you don't want your logo on there, or maybe you want a shortened version of this. So create variations. You may have a Christmas one, an Easter one. You can mix it up. But I highly recommend that you save this, because we've had a lot of clients where maybe they've had to format their machine. Maybe they've gone to a new machine. Maybe they want to have their emails showing up when they on their mobile phone when they're using Outlook on their mobile phone. The problem is these don't kind of move across, and so it's a lot easier just to create a signature document, and then you can just copy them and put them in the signature folder for yourself. And again, just save that wherever you want. And this allows you to modify these anytime you want, copy them and paste them back into you would just go back into your Outlook, into your signature line, and then, you know, paste whatever changes are on there, you know, add some new ones, that sort of thing. All right. So that's the tips for the day. Any more questions out there? Well, I was sure glad to have you guys here. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We really appreciate that. And we're setting up, I'll let you know when our next webinar is. It'll be in February. Not sure which the topic is going to be yet. And again, if you've got any topics for webinars or for the Casual Fridays, let me know. We'll see if we can add that in and wrap this around things that you want to see and make it a little easier. Thank you so much, everyone, for showing up for this Casual Friday. Hopefully you have an awesome weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.